alphabetic, you ain't ready to set it, boy. I don't know who you are, don't know where you live, but when this round's over, you going back to the crib. Hella quick, dog, hella fast, whoop that ass hella quick. On this microphone singer, man, you got 4 eyes, but I got 1 finger. Right to your grill, got skill and I can drop it off of the tempo. On the instrumental or the vinyl, up in Ohio. I'm gonna make you go home tonight and hug your Bible.
Yeah, I got 4 eyes, but you need to take night classes. He couldn't see me on this mic rocking my glasses. So you know, I'll make him bend backwards, win the battle, spend all the loot at lens crafters. You dandy prick, you're completely whack. What the fuck? It's Andy Dick in a beanie hat. Standing there trying to look all regal. I'm 5'8" and I hate tall people. I can see up your nose, believe me. I see the coke you sniffed that made you think you could beat me.
Time. You short? You should try some calcium, you know, milk, cheese, maybe some yogurt. 25 years old, he could still have a growth spurt. Who knows, dog? Break it down, I take the sound, homeboy. You can get the foreskin. Fuck you in the test tube you were born in. I don't know where you from, where you bragging at. You ain't ready, homeboy, you ain't ready to battle rap. I got it going on in your face like a flashlight. I'll leave you lower than Carnage's mic level last night. That's right, dog, you don't want it. New MC on the mic, you just lost time.
Yeah, I spit the...
Yeah.
Organized Grind with Oracle Uno.
Yes.
Recorded live at Graph Fruit Studios in South Minneapolis.
Hey, what's up, world? This is Oracle Uno checking in once again with episode 24 of Organized Grind the podcast. Today we have another very special guest, especially to the hip-hop scene in the Twin Cities. You know, he's done a lot. I don't even know what the best way to introduce this guy is, but we got Zach, new MC from Kanser, More Than Lights. Why don't you say what's up, man?
Peace. The ambiance music is fly.
Dope, man. Thank you.
Intro.
It's a beat that I made, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, as always, we're gonna get into some fly hip hop shit. One of the local legends for sure. How's your day been going today, Zach?
So far so good. Twinkie Jiggles from Trivia Mafia, The Current, and High Respects. I'm name dropping his business because he asked me to help him move his business today.
Okay, dope.
So I helped the homie move, and otherwise just slid through here. Bumped into or met up with Manny Festo on the way.
Okay, shout out Manny.
Yes, he is in Minnesota for a short minute.
Okay.
Before he goes back to the West Coast.
Okay.
He just dropped a new fly video with Devin the Dude, I believe.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. That shit's tight. Where on the West Coast is he at now?
He's down in San Diego, I believe.
Okay.
Haven't gone to visit him yet, but that's what I think is what's going on.
That's what's up, man. Well, hey, why don't we start at the beginning here? Where are you from?
I was born in Bemidji, Minnesota.
Okay.
Came down here when I was 9, raised on the south side, but I've been spinning around a little bit. Was actually staying in the California mountains on some living in a place of solitude.
Nice.
Overlooking a lake with a yoga deck on some maybe just kind of the spiritual quest I was on. Okay. Secluding myself slightly. Yeah. And then I was also living down in Northfield. It's like a satellite of the cities.
Sure.
Because I want to be close to the cities, but I kind of want to just seclude myself and hide from my social life for a little bit.
Yeah, man.
So right now I kind of claim I'm from a little bit from Northfield, a little bit from Northern Cali, and from South Minneapolis, Twin Cities.
Dope, man, dope. Can you remember the very first time that hip hop touched your life? Was it a song? Was it family? Was it a party, dance? What was it?
Well, if I went back into my the deepest, farthest part of my mind when I first probably heard the sound of a man rapping, and that would have been something like the Fat Boys or something. Okay. Going back on like some Nickelodeon Nick Rocks where they're showing videos maybe, but I couldn't accurately say if it was the Fat Boys. I remember my brother playing me the Beastie Boys and Run DMC. Though even though maybe I touched that music, I didn't it didn't become one with me. It was as relevant to me in my life as Huey Lewis in the News was.
Okay, yeah.
On MTV or Van Halen.
Yeah,
If you define hip hop as one of the if you define graffiti as one of the hip hop elements or connected to it, I'd say the first time that energy touched me is when I first moved to Minneapolis, and my brother wrote a word on something, on an object when we were writing home.
Dope.
And that was the first time I understood what a tag was.
Okay.
I believe, if I can give it more definition, we had moved to Minneapolis kind of as a family. My pops had came up here, and he got his life together slightly, and he had somehow got a comic store on the north side.
Oh, wow.
Right on Broadway off 94.
Sure.
It was called Worlds Within and Beyond. I think he inherited it from somebody, or maybe hustled it or stole it from somebody. I'm not sure how he was owning this store at the time.
Yeah.
But my older brother was a teenager, like 15 maybe, and so he'd have him working at the store, and he saw dudes come in. I was trying to kind of writing this in a rap, so I tried to just spit it through it, but something like he saw black boys come in the store with black books, and they were trying to steal the Cheech Wizard comic books.
Yeah.
And my brother caught him and had to kick him out the store, and he was like, and then when he would walk to the bank or walk to Taco Bell, he was noticing tags, and then he like put it together. I don't know how he put all them together, that those kids were taggers.
Yeah. And
with the black books and going for the Cheech Wizard comics.
Right.
And in the way I told the story, I colored their skin. I said they were black boys, and the reason I wanted to just paint it honestly is my brother is like a headbanger white boy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So he sees that I want to credit the color that he first saw it come from, if that's respectfully something I should correctly do.
Sure.
But since my brother's on some white boy headbanger stuff, when he's influenced the tag, when I'm first seeing it, I'm not identifying it with hip hop, but later I realized that it was the energy of hip hop that those boys brought in the store and sliced into my brother.
Yeah.
And so my brother ran it and mixed it with his heavy metal.
Okay.
Headbanger, Beastie Boys, Run DMC type, small town Bemidji type tagging.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was answering the first question.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Yeah. So what made you guys make the move from up there to down here?
My pops talked my mom into it, supposedly. I don't know. My pops was he was never father of the year.
Okay.
You feel me? He put us through a lot of abusive, negative things.
Sure.
Though this might have actually been a moment where he kind of had it all. He was starting to get it together.
Okay.
And but unfortunately, he didn't hold it together. At one night, everything in the store got robbed, cleaned out, top to bottom, and we always have known there was something more to the story, because he always blamed the dude who owned the store before. But me and my brothers were like, where did you get the money to buy the store from? So you probably stole it from him or something.
Yeah.
And then my father's anger and violence and everything, once the store got gone, stolen, it got way worse in our family's situation.
Sure.
So we kind of came down here for something that didn't work out.
Okay.
Because my pops wasn't able to keep the store rise to the occasion, and I'm over answering that question. But that's the comic store was what brought us down here.
Okay. And so your brother kicks these kids out. Was he already dabbling with graffiti at the time, or
he splashed me the story recently.
Okay.
Over he sent it to me over one of the social network messaging
yeah
messages, and I'm not sure exactly what he saw first, if he saw the tags outside or he saw them just messing with the Chief's Wizard. And maybe he put the Chief Wizard together with maybe he saw a graffiti character over north.
Yeah, because that seems to be one of the more common ones.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'll talk to him at a different time, but the way he told me the story in just pieces, I liked starting to color it in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope, man. So, how was school for you at that age? Because this is about what year that
87.
you made the move down here?
87.
Okay.
It was a little bit of culture shock.
Sure.
And just like, I was probably just kind of a weird little small town kid. So, just everything moved. All the kids were kind of growing up a little faster. Mm-hmm. And, because I grew up right around here, where we're recording the spot on East Lake Street.
Yeah.
And I don't want to over exaggerate in the shadows or the reflections of like the L.A. gangland or like the New York projects or Chicago Caprini Greens. This over here was not the hood in comparison to those situations, environments. But it was a little more raw over here than it is now. Mm-hmm. It was a little more raw back in the days, and since I was younger, it probably felt even like a way more complex maze than it was.
Yep.
So it was like, harder. So I'm adapting. It took me a few years to adapt.
Sure.
Maybe till about high school.
Did you? Was it easy to make friends? Did you have a lot of friends back then? Or?
Nah, when I first moved to Minneapolis, I was like super alone in my own area. Just I didn't know how to relate to the city kids. I'd just be on the playground kind of just by myself.
Sure.
Though looking back, I'm pretty sure that was some sort of spiritual preparation for my future with like throwing parties.
Okay.
And getting, throwing parties in a way you're getting paid to be popular.
Yeah.
And it taught me how to appreciate every person that was coming to be a part of our gatherings, and appreciate every person that reaches out and wants to share time in a scene, a scene that's flickering through time.
Sure. So, all right. So there's all of this influence going on around the time you got the music. It's hip hop wasn't the big super genre it was back in that day. You have the graffiti influence as far as the brother and everything like that. Did you start to write rhymes first, or did you start with graffiti first?
Well, graffiti first.
Okay.
Though I want to go into what you were saying.
Yeah, please do.
So from Bemidji, Minnesota, being in, what was I, in third grade, second, third grade, like the few friends I had were listening to like Bon Jovi, or like I should have shut my phone off.
It's all good.
Or my older cousin, he was vibing on Van Halen or something. And when I came up here, though, it seemed like the kids I was splashing the class with were more into rap, LL Cool J, or so actually rap being the more popular music was definitely maybe the biggest difference from, not the biggest difference, but a difference from coming from Bemidji to here.
Okay.
Even though it's just on a grade school level.
Sure. Yeah. So as far as the graffiti thing goes, did you just start sketching, or like what was the first time that you actually made an attempt to do something? Was it a tag? Was it with actual paint? Were you out there?
I was tagging along with my brother, just imitating him, just trying to follow in his footsteps. So he started to advance in the art form. He starts to advance, but I'm seeing, since I'm following him, I'm learning the lessons. Like, he's just out here. He starts beefing with a crews, and he's by himself. Yeah. Because he just moved here. He don't know nobody.
Right.
So he starts slashing tags. And my brother got beat up at least once, maybe a few times in his life for that.
Sure.
But since I was right behind him, I was like, and when I say that, I'm not mocking my brother or trying to like put his legacy on blast. I'm saying he was like 15, 16. He was a little bit more fearless than he was hard.
Sure.
So he's like slashing crews that are like 20 people deep. Yeah, and he's by himself. And but his art started to advance so far that that the higher graffiti kings were it's like he became a king on his own.
Yeah.
So then like Emer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I self divine
Right,
and the AKB crew.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was original AKB crew.
Okay.
And I hope that's cool to put on.
I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
I'm already writing in the books, and you can mark my words here. If that ever came back to anybody, if it came back to get my brother, if it came back to get I Self Divine, I will personally put on and help promote the show that we'll use to pay off anything that comes back.
Right.
Everybody.
I think we're good.
Okay. Put my word on that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I'm following my brother, but I'm sloppy. My tags are toy.
Sure.
But I started to attract in my little reality, Res One.
Okay.
Who was a king in AKB. He had a little brother.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then so the little brother, we started tagging together.
Okay.
We were kids. We were lame, but we were like beginners creating art, and we were learning and evolving in our own art form. So then we start to draw ourselves as characters when we're in high school.
Oh, okay.
You know, like each with their own flavor. Now returning the opening things I was saying about graffiti, if you consider it a hip hop element, like I started to feel like it wasn't just one form of like this kind of like style is hip hop when it comes to graffiti, such as like Res One and his little brother. They were Mexican cats, and they weren't like heavy into hip hop. They were into their own vibe. Yeah. Heavy into hip hop music, but they were heavy into graffiti. And with my brother being on, kind of some heavy metal, by this time he's getting into like, Metallica and Slayer and stuff. So then, like at the same time, if you were straight B-boy headphones, LL Cool J, the styles of graffiti are kind of like reflecting in the music. Sure. And that's why I don't know if I preach this, but I believe this, that graffiti is a hip hop element, but we share it with other subcultures.
Definitely.
So you feel me on that?
Definitely. Okay. Yes.
Cool. I'm glad you feel me on that, as we're surrounded by
I mean, when I got into it, I mean, I'm 29, so we're talking late 90s, and by that time, there was so much reference material out there for styles that I feel like we kind of had it easier because we had a computer that we could look at styles on the West Coast, styles on the East Coast, styles in Dublin. Back in the late 80s, I mean, how did you guys kind of learn your styles? Was it just from being around each other, or was it from seeing trains, or how did you guys kind of start to pick up your styles?
Well, first, you live on 31st Avenue.
Yeah.
31st Avenue, 4 blocks down, is where I saw my first graffiti piece. Okay. Like, the little kids I was meeting in 4th grade, they were like, you ain't seen the Big Force? Okay. I'm like, what you mean Big Force? Because Force was the freshest tag in the neighborhood, right? So we go over there, and when I see it, I'm like, oh, it is big. And then off that, we saw spray can art and subway art reached us.
Okay.
I think I might have got them from this. There's this white boy. He was the first white hip hop head I ever know. A little like b-boy white kid I ever knew. He tagged Rune, and I think he might have showed us the spray can art for the first time.
Okay, dope. So I have read the first edition of your book, and it seems like high school is kind of when the rap thing really started to take off for you. So you were going to South High, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And so now this is just from what I remember. South High is where you were ciphering. It was like a lot of lunchroom ciphers.
Yeah.
It was the proving grounds of the development of your style.
I would say it was the school of our style.
Okay.
And then the proving ground also probably went out into the city. Like
Okay.
we used to go and freestyle and battle at the Mall of America, or
Oh,
go
sure.
downtown on Nicollet or in front of Pop's Arcade, or just different memories here and there, little spots,
Yeah.
house parties that we would kick our little kick my little weak flows.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Why don't we get into what South High was like back then?
Well, I'm gonna reference the Micronauts.
Okay.
Okay, so the first time I hear of local rap, I am told that Emer has a local rap group called the Micronauts. Now, I was in the comic book, so the Micronauts are they're a comic book of like little microscopic
Okay.
superheroes.
I didn't know
They,
this.
they also had toys that might have had a different storyline.
Sure.
That were out in the late 70s or early 80s. So Micronaut, I don't know if that's a play on the word microphone or it's
Yeah.
referencing the comic book, or something happened right there where hip hop, and not connected to the more the poppy stuff.
Right.
Though everything has its place, I'm not hating, but it all kind of blurs into one for me, and then I kind of I connected. That's probably where I really connected tagging and writing on these walls as interchanging energy
Okay.
with MCing.
Sure.
And then that kind of spun into my own maybe comic book imagination. And I think all the purpose of flowing for, I might be over answering your question, but it was like we just wanted to be as big as the Micronauts.
Okay.
For whatever that meant to us at the time, and I like to say it like that because the Micronauts are microscopic in
Sure.
but I don't when I say that, that's kind of like my own trip. It doesn't maybe relate or really connect to Kool Akeem and Truth Maze and I Self Divine's journey as the Micronauts. It's just me as a fan or a spectator.
Sure, yeah.
Putting it all together on my own trip.
Yeah, man.
And yeah.
Dope. So
Oh, my bad.
No, it's
so
okay.
that drew me to MCing.
right.
Yep.
Okay. So can you remember the first rhyme that you wrote, or like what drove you to finally like, all right, I'm gonna sit here and do this?
I remember the first night I sat down, and maybe when I was like a little kid, there was a couple times I tried, but I remember the attempt that the first attempt that drew me. It was like real basic bars rhyming the word 2 and 3 with TV or something.
Yeah.
And I won't claim that I had like a talent for it. Like I actually think I might have been just in a space where no one was there to tell me I was whack. So I kept going with it farther than I should have, and just I heard you when you interviewed Unicus.
Yeah.
He tells you how he connected with Ant early on. He was the connection
Yeah.
that brought Ant into Minnesota
Right.
hip hop. Well, I somehow caught a wave through Unicus into Ant. So Ant is producing me for my first like talent shows.
Wow.
But I was weak though. I wasn't like a teenage prodigy
Sure.
or some dope shit. He didn't think I was dope. He was just being nice.
Yeah, yeah.
This teenager asked me,
Yeah.
to make a song so he can perform in his talent show. Boom, boom, and then what happened then was I don't know if I'm over answering the question.
Nah, man, please go.
Is that South High and the South Side started to gravitate to a local hip hop movement, and I just was maybe at the right place at the right time, or maybe I was moving a lot of it. I can't actually always tell. So we get on before I have mastered my flow.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So I get credit. I appreciate you giving me a good introduction.
I tried, but when I was saying it, I was like, what do I even say about this guy?
Now I might get because I've documented the history as I perceive it.
Sure.
I might get slightly more credit than I deserve sometimes, and maybe I'm being a little too humble because I could probably read you my resume and I would feel it sounded fresh. But there was early on in the journey where I feel like my story is kind of connected to Musab and Urban Atmosphere story and the Abstract Pack story.
For sure.
But if I'm keeping it real, I wasn't as dope as they were.
Yeah. Well, because you were still a few years younger than those guys too, right?
I was older than everybody until Idea came along. I mean, I was younger than everybody until Idea came along.
Sure. Okay. All right. We're already 25 in. So South High, from my understanding, was speaking to, Unicus, is that South High was the birthplace of Kanser.
Yeah. Well, technically, Matthews Park is when the first kids who came up with the name Kanser.
Okay.
But we were all going to South. One of the kids was about to go into South. That's BC Quincy Blue, who passed away.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Yep. They just came over to my crib and they were like, "We started a new rap crew and you're in it." I'm like, "Sure, I'm in it." And then we got, "Sure, I'm in it." I got a little equipment, and an older homie, Mesh, had hit me with some producer equipment, some basics, and we started building. Ant helped us build.
Wow.
And then
that's dope.
The journey went.
So that was the beginning of Kanser.
Yeah, yep. And then we're moving through out of high school, and then like I was tying it into Musab and Urban Atmosphere and Muja Messiah and all of them, and like we're on that early wave.
Sure.
And then we kind of just maybe that wave got us as far as it could, and then when it kind of washed us out in our early mid-20s, that's when we kind of realized like, oh, I mean, we're dope, but we're not that dope. And we got to figure out, like, where's our lane now? And luckily I felt, as this is happening, boom, you got, I didn't mean to self-deprecate. I go back. We were dope. If we were dope, we were dope in the moment. We were dope opening act in the moment.
Okay.
Back there a couple of years. Now where we at now, and what was kind of fun. I think we caught our wave with like when Doomtree's coming out, and they're like dark. They're like, I mean, their color is dark. Their beats are harsh, and they're strong, and they're punk rock influenced and banging, right? And then you got the the Uptown Bar story. Slug is selling, and Musab is on the south side moving through it with them, and we're like, well, shit, we're just like eating shrooms and hanging out in Dinkytown and fucking partying, and let's just paint kind of more of a sunshine. Like happy to wake up type hip hop.
Sure.
Because that's what we were on, and that's what felt good, and that was a cool wave that we got in. Man, am I over talking?
No, man, nope.
Right.
So I have two more questions until we get to the first commercial break. The name Kanser with a K and an S, was that groupthink or was that someone's idea?
I think Mesh put the spin on as what Kanser really originally was. You could say that was spelled with the 2 C's, but as them cats went in different directions into the Street Kings and what the homie Jimmy Jump went on to do, and it came and it was just like me, Mesh, and Unicus, and we were kind of just that backpack b-boy rap. Let's twist it because it came out graffiti anyway. So Kanser is like the 6 flyest letters in graffiti to us.
Sure.
So,
okay.
It just looked cool though. It just looked nice.
That's
it
dope.
Just looked smooth. But
yeah, man, that's dope.
What I think in our long journey it did, even though that word, that sound, that vibration shares a definition with a zodiac sign, when the average person hears Kanser, maybe I won't say average, I don't know the mathematics, but when the word Kanser is said, people mind go identify and link to pain,
right?
Losing family members, chemotherapy, like the dramatic like the suffering of what someone has to go through when their physical is failing on them. And so in the long run, I think the name might have hurt us, though it just became us.
Yeah.
So it was almost like that's just what we were.
Right.
Because spelled with a K and an S, it means us, and so we still rode the wave with it.
Yeah, I always thought too it was because y'all spread like cancer.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? You spread like cancer in the streets or whatever. You know
I dig that definition.
Yeah,
I
man.
dig that definition.
And the second thing, and then we'll go into the first commercial break here. Did you ever see a video called "Tales from the Rails"?
Tales from the Rails. Yes, it was a graffiti video.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
It was local. It was a bunch of freights, like a bunch of classic rock was playing. I was just curious if you knew about the video or any history behind that, because that was one of the first things that I saw when I was really young and just captured me.
Nothing in my memory is pulling up who did it, who put that together, but I feel like I knew at the time who did it. And we were probably connected through the scene somehow, at least in an acquaintance form.
Sure.
But yeah, I remember it.
Okay.
I remember it, yeah.
Dope. Well, hey, we're going to go into our first commercial break here. We're kicking it with new MC, Zachariah, More Than Lights, Kanser. This is Organized Grind, the podcast with Oracle Uno.
Yo.
We'll be right back.
Representing the Midwest, this is Truth Maze. Yes, y'all. Check out the new EP. It's entitled The Holy Bible. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Music and elsewhere. Red Pill Music, baby. You see, with my words I can heal or kill. Talk fuck shit or truly keep it real. I can grab up a burner and flame my brother, or he and I can train so we elevate each other. I can talk about pussy all day and all night and not admit I'm toxic and don't treat women right. I can tell everybody how to pop a new pill, or tell the next generation the matrix is real. Cause what I know is I hold the power at will. Still sharp and still, goddammit, it's ill. For mentally the blade I hold, it takes skill, specially designed so I can kill Bill. And the fake shit in me I need to reveal. That's what a god does with the ability to build. My soul is my rock, my spirit's my shield. My soul is my rock, my spirit's my shield.
Yes, y'all. This is Organized Grind, the podcast, episode 24 with new MC, Big Zach. So we were just getting into Kanser had just basically formed out of South High. What was your guys' first live excursion like?
The newer Mesh Unicus Zach version, or the first like high school talent show version?
Let's talk the first high school talent show and then the first kind of club gig or whatever venue gig.
Actually, I can jump. A more interesting story would be the first show we did outside of the first show I ever did outside of South High.
Okay, cool.
Would have been at McAllister College, opening for Urban Atmosphere.
Okay.
Pee Wee Dread and Labyrinth, and I know you broke down in the last podcast about Labyrinth was Musab, this cat Ishmael, Misha, and Unicus produced by Ant. Then jumping in like the modern Me Mesh and Unicus, we did one show with Jimmy Jump opening for the Rhymesayer guys. I think we were the first ever group to open for a Rhymesayer act. At the beginning would have been at the Mighty Fine Cafe Northeast. You know, I'm gonna jump ahead though, because I listened to the Unicus podcast, and we already colored that in.
Cool. Cool, man. Yeah.
So let's jump. Should we jump?
Go ahead.
Farther?
Yeah, man. Yeah, jump.
Then the more jumping into the More Than Lights, I'm repeating what Harry said. Unicus said on your podcast about how people went out to Hip Hop and Harmony. It was this event called Hip Hop and Harmony at Harmony Park.
Yeah.
And I'm telling this fast because Unicus already covered it on the last episode. And he like some of the groups dug it, some of them didn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how much Carnage and Doomtree dug it. I mean, they had fun in the moment.
Yep.
But me and Unicus and More Than Lights, we fell in love with it, and we flowed into that scene for as long as we could ride that wave.
Yeah. So Kanser is. So this is post-Labyrinth Kanser is what we'll start calling this. Is Interlock formulated yet?
My bad. I jumped to More Than Lights, and I forgot to connect the Interlock dots.
Okay. It's all good. So let's go into what were the beginning stages of the Interlock crew, and kind of what made you guys feel like this is like what you had to do.
It came together naturally. We don't even know why. We clicked up with High Respects from St. Paul and this large crew called CMI that would people would know their members as Kill the Vultures or Odd Jobs.
Yeah.
And then this group Twisted Linguistics, who featured this cat Noah B, and the other MC was Muad'Dib, who later flowed into High Respects.
So how did High Respects and cats from St. Paul wind up on your radar over here?
We did a show at a rave spot. It was called the JVC Space up on Lake Street. They used to throw raves straight on like Lake Street and 17th.
Okay. I
don't know how they was getting away with that, but we played a show with High Respects, and we connected. This is I break this all down in the book, so I won't hit you with every little detail, but the four of us came together. Booker B was connected with Twisted Linguistics.
Okay.
And we, looking back, reflecting on it, and talk about a bunch of young kids who believe in hip hop. The average age is probably 18 or 19. Mesh and Unicus are the only ones old enough to drink.
Okay.
And we connect, and we probably should have just saw what we could do with that 4-group unit. But what we were just so friendly, you know what I'm saying? It was like Illusion, Extreme, Carnage, Tri-D. Wait up. Oh, when I man, please, those are my brothers, so I hope they understand. I'm not trying to push them out the story. Like if I pushed them out the story would have been different. But as a crew, we had no idea what we were doing. And we probably should have made a few moves with the 4 groups and figure out, establish ourselves and what we were and what we were trying to do before we had open doors that anyone can jump in the crew.
So about what year is this roughly?
Man, this would have been end of 98. And no, beginning of 98. Interlock clicks at the beginning of 98.
Okay, so Rhymesayers at this time is now established. Since what, like 96 is when they kind of started formulating their thing?
And Headshots now has just kind of broke up because the Abstract Pack had just left.
Right. So... I'm
sorry to jump ahead.
No, it's all good.
But maybe with the Abstract Pack leaving Headshots, we were trying to fill the Headshot space, which is probably what we were...
I can see that.
We might have even been aiming for that, though we weren't on point enough to understand the space.
Sure. So y'all and a lot of the key players from Rhymesayers used to be collaborative and used to be very close. Not saying that you guys aren't friendly now or whatever, but it seems like there was definitely a point in maybe 95 or 96 where they decided to go their own way, or...
Oh, wait, I'll paint it easier.
Okay.
Once we formed Interlock, they kind of chose not to like us anymore. What I was kind of saying from before, I think I was getting to, maybe I didn't have the right words yet, but we didn't know how to fill the space of being a crew that was that in a powerful place in the city.
Sure.
And once that happened, it was like we weren't fully aware, maybe, or I wasn't, that hip hop is a gladiator art form. So once you click together and you make a statement like we are this, now you are in opposed positions, adjusts to everyone else. And I was not wise enough with my knowledge to understand that.
Well, sure. And I mean, you all were, what, early 20s, right?
Not even. I was 19.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, I mean, when you get that large of group of guys and you're all this age and things are just starting to happen, I mean, no one really has the political chops at that point to really know what's happening. But it definitely does seem like there was a point in time where everybody was kind of, all right, we're doing this hip hop thing. And then once the different factions started to establish, then that's when things kind of started to splinter.
Yeah, I would paint myself. I've probably painted this story like this in the new book. And I don't want to be playing the victim, because I think it was just the battle element in hip hop that I don't understand yet.
Yeah.
But when we were connecting with the Rhymes Saracats, we were really buying into this. We're building a hip hop scene.
Yeah,
we were really putting our energy into that because we believed it, and we did it. Almost everything we did for free, because we didn't even understand anything beyond that.
Yeah.
And then when we formed Interlock, it was like, just like you said, then there became a split, and it just became more of a business in different realms.
Right.
And it kind of, I feel them cats kind of bullied us.
Okay.
In ways where, like, we didn't feel any physical fear of them.
Sure.
Though they had political power that they could move certain pieces.
Right. Can you kind of touch on that just a little bit more? Like what kind of power moves were being made?
Man, I think I'll leave that if anyone wants to read the book.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
The book goes in depth in it. I try to be as honest and display my real emotions from a young kid, from what I'm feeling, from what I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then it flows just like it just would have been healthier to stay within the hip hop arts and just battle.
Sure. Yep. So Interlock forms in what, like 98?
Yep, 98.
Okay. And so it was these 4 kind of core groups.
Well, that was the original blueprint.
Yep.
And then we just did doors open. We were letting we let a lot of fun artists in with us, Illusion, Carnage, and many more, though later on illicit traditional methods.
Sure.
But we were never established enough to like make the proper move. So like the business and the crew of Interlock, as beautiful as all the artists are, and my relationships with them were great, I feel like Interlock never reached what it could have. Maybe it started to touch it, and it wasn't all clicking together.
Sure. Yeah, because I mean, when I was starting to come up around here, it was about 2000, 2001, 2, and you guys had the presence out here, but I also kind of wondered about, like, I feel like these guys should be larger, whatever you want to say larger defines or whatever, but do you think it's because maybe you needed to tour more, or like what were some of the steps that you feel like might have been missing?
Oh, well, we did. First of all, the easiest way to explain it is because we were in a small metro area, and the spot that we would have tried to take was already filled. Okay. By a few dudes who were just a few years older than us, a few years more advanced in the art forms, and better credit and stuff like that. Yeah. And so I think we were just and we didn't know how to rise to the occasion and challenge that. So we just tried to do our own thing, and just find a space. And we found a little space. We were blessed. Like the compliment you just gave about Interlock, I really appreciate that. Yeah. And for any kid that came to one of our shows in the 10 years Interlock existed between 98 and 2008, like, I appreciate your presence, and I hope we gave you a good vibe. Though, and I apologize that we couldn't bring it to the next level for you, wherever that was, unless we're there right now.
Sure. And I mean, there's still remnants of the crew doing their thing, like with Stop House, and there's even some cats at Rhyme Sayers nowadays. And
you kind of could look at it like it followed some similar pattern. Like this might be just kind of my own trip looking at the waves of life, but the Headshot crew, and then the Headshot crew and Urban Atmosphere, and a member falls out of Urban Atmosphere, sadly, and then they become huge with the Atmosphere being the lead vessel. And then Interlock, maybe we were as kids trying to fill that Headshot space, and we got everything that came with it, and then that evolves into Stop House with Prof and Roswell. And Roswell fades away, and then Prof leads.
That's kind of crazy how that works, huh?
Yeah, the Matrix is interesting.
Yeah, man. So as far as those days go, what were some of the highlights of the crew?
Man, I'll say that the highlight, well, a lot of house parties, a lot of fun friendships forever, but the last minute of Interlock, in 2008, we had a show called Interlock Lives, and we sold out the Triple Rock. It was Kanser, More Than Lights, Prof and Roswell, Carnage, Licit, Twist Linguistics.
Wow.
And maybe Fundo DJing.
Okay.
And it was a fly night, fly time, and that maybe is what we're all should have got to back in '98. It felt like that. Maybe we were 10 years behind, and then we kind of realized it, and we dissolved the crew from there.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. I remember flyers from that show, too, and seeing the sign, it being sold out and everything like that. It's fun to think about. But so around this time, you're also going to Scribble Jam.
Oh, yeah.
When did you first start to go to a Scribble Jam, and kind of how did you even wind up there in the first place?
I was at the crib, and Kevin Beecham called me, and they were having the Scribble Jam prelims at the Dinky Towner. Okay. And he had invited me, but I didn't know. The reason I didn't want to take the Scribble Jam journey is because everything I just explained, how it felt like the Interlock pattern was going like the Headshots pattern, and we were just like following those footsteps, and I had to take my own journey. Idea had already won Scribble Jam. Sure. So I was like, man, entering that, if I just don't do as well as him, I don't know the right words to say it. I just didn't want to. Yeah, I couldn't outdo him. Right. In that one. So I passed on it. I was chilling at the crib. I passed on the invite to go battle in the prelims at the Dinky Towner, and I was just chilling at the crib, and Kevin Beecham calls me, and he's like, man, are you going to come down and battle? I'm like, nah. And I just give a very shorter version of what I just said to you. Yeah. And he was like, man, he kind of like asked me as like a favor, or like, I don't know if he guilt tripped me, but or what, you know. And I was like, cool. I caught a cab down. I remember I was like practicing battling in the cab, and I jump in. Had 3 rounds. I was blessed to be able to have the skill to win all 3 of them. Though I battled Vesh in the final. Oh wow! The finals, and I said something to him that has always bothered me. It wasn't on point. It wasn't on point. I said I had this like maybe a premeditated punchline that I was thinking the next time I battle a young white rapper from Minnesota, I'm gonna say, you started rapping when Slug got popular. And I said it to him, and I knew when it came out of my mouth, that's incorrect. Vesh is from the north side. Right. He grew up on like King Sandman, and that was their locals over there. Then he didn't come in contact with Interlock and Rhyme Sayers and stuff in Doomtree until he started winning the Pasta Bar battles. Sure. When those scenes started to connect. Yep. So I knew when it came out of my mouth that wasn't true. And even though the judge, I mean, I guess I got him, but it was like I should have been docked points from the judges for that line because it wasn't on point. Sure. Vesh was like my favorite battle rapper in Minnesota history. Dope. And so I feel like I want to take that punchline back.
Sure, man. So you have been battling. I mean, one of the first times I ever saw you live, I think it was in 2003 at the Celebration of Hip Hop that we had here. It was
At Enemy at Arts.
No, it was down by like the U of M kind of.
Yep.
Clips played.
Yep.
But that was another thing of you being in the crowd. You weren't even in the battle. And they're like, we need someone to battle this person who wants to come up and battle. And they picked you out, and you said no like 2 or 3 times. And then you finally go up there and just decapitate this MC. But when did you start battling?
I was battling from jump in South High.
Okay.
There was a lot of the battle element would be around the ciphers.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I realized until around that time, realizing 2 things. First, I was like maybe overconfident when I was younger, but around that time, around the Scribble Jam time, when someone was trying to suggest that I maybe it was after the Scribble Jam regional, I can't remember. They were like, Zach, you got a gift for that. And when it's a gift, it's like a slice tool. It's like something I didn't know I was going to still have to use after high school, because after battle rapping on that element, that level, that board, I didn't know you still had to continue with it.
Sure.
And then I kind of put it together like, yeah, battle rapping is entertainment.
Right.
It's like the dunk contest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I was like, it's even though it's a spiritual artistic combat between you and another MC, and you can play it as silly as you want, but secretly you want to slice them down the middle,
right.
or at least I do.
Yeah.
But I want to make it entertaining, and I don't want to be a bad sport if I lose. I even like if I took like a hard loss and was entertaining for everyone, I put my head down, because even though it's half acting.
Yeah.
Because but half I really got sliced and I feel shame.
Right.
And let's give that to the crowd. Let's not try to hide it. Let's not try to put an ego front out there like I'm not hurt that I just fucking got crushed by this dude.
Right. So as far as Scribble Jam goes, we actually started off the podcast. It was you versus, and I'm gonna stutter, Iron Solomon. I didn't stutter, so that was good. He's gone on, like, he's on pay-per-view on cable and doing like the new style of battling that's out there now with no beat, and you have a month to write it and rehearse it and all that. But like, who were some of, I guess, your favorite people to battle or even kick it with at Scribble Jam? And did you have any sort of like stories that someone who's really into Scribble Jam might like really love to hear?
Man, I was a little bit out of the element. I wasn't really connected to the Scribble Jam scene in the sense that like we went when I was able to win the prelims in 04 at the Dinky Town, and then we went to Cincinnati like a month later, and we didn't really know many people. I mean, maybe here and there a couple of the Rhymester guys.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe there was some of the Doomtree guys were there too.
Yeah, I think Carnage is on stage too with you guys.
Yeah, actually, I guess we knew people, but we were a little out of our element. But maybe it's me. Maybe Shiz and Unicus and the homies we came with, maybe they had a blast. I was a little on edge because I didn't know what I was stepping into as far as battling. I had been almost undefeated around here, and then when I got there, I realized when I watched they had a prelim there to give like 2 spots, and like they had a 32 MC tournament, so they had like I don't know, maybe they had 30 spots filled, and they had a prelim of another 32 to get to the final 2 spots, which to fill the 2 spots. And I knew watching that shit that I was slightly out of my league.
Okay.
I was like, oh shit, like these 30 kids that just got eliminated here, like half of them would have given me trouble.
Yeah.
And they're not even in it. And man, if I'm honest, if you want to bring up the Iron Solomon battle.
Yeah.
So I'm up there. I don't I was a little late on the internet, so I'm not really plugged into everything. So like I can tell this scene knows a lot of these battlers that are coming up. They are identifying who they are,
right,
and what city they're from, and what kind of music they make, and who they've battled before.
Yeah.
But I'm very unfamiliar with it. So boom, they called me up. I went against this cat. He came at me hard. I was able to come at him back. I kind of made a statement, like, I'm gonna break this out the matrix. I felt good in that first battle. Boom, I get called for the second, the Iron Solomon. Now, at this moment, I don't know who he is. I don't know he's like a very advanced battle rapper.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. You might have to watch the beginning of the video, but I believe they called his name wrong.
Okay.
I thought, unless I misheard it, I'm on stage, boom, all I got is his names. I don't know nothing about his history. So I thought they said his name was AB.
Okay.
So I said something like, okay, your name's AB, not that smart. You called yourself AB to remind you how the alphabet start. Something, right? But that, I thought it was kind of clever, but it did not hit.
Right. The crowd was just kind of stiff on that one.
And I was like, oh shit. And then what I realized later was maybe they were like, it's not his that wasn't his name. And then when I watched the Scribble Jam video, I think they sliced my first two bars off, which makes sense if they called the name wrong. But I don't really know. It all happened in the moment.
Yeah.
So boom, he comes back. I feel like I wasn't that. I feel like I was just more flowing, trying to be on
beat,
get a good freestyle on the beat, like I was feeling out the flow. And then he hit me pretty hard with some punchlines that made the crowd really react. And I came back and I replied.
Right.
So I added defense, though. When I stepped off stage, I still felt like he got the harder punchlines, and the crowd, the judges debated, and they took a while to debate, and I knew backstage, I was like, they're giving it to me because he beat me to the crowd. So the reason they're taking long to judge is because they're arguing and debating about it. Like, are we gonna outjudge the crowd?
Yeah.
And then what I was told later by Kip G from North Dakota.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't know if this is accurate or just a rumor that floats on the internet, is he maybe from some people's perspective beat me, but one of the judges had heard him use one of those punchlines or multiple of those punchlines before.
Yeah.
This is what I've heard for years on the from rumors, but I don't check like battle rap message boards to know.
Sure.
But I don't know nothing about that dude beyond that. Besides I don't know nothing about him like personally or anything. He just seems like a real hardcore battle rapper, and if I was just able to get through him in that moment, and maybe him recycling a punchline helped me get through it.
Right.
That's just how I move through the moment.
The way that I see it, and it's super fun to be able to sit here and talk with you about this battle, because I've watched this battle for a long time, and the way that I see it is that his first verse was super direct and about you, and you could tell it was about you. He's coming at you. Your first round was really good about him. Second round comes, they muted the beat for 2 bars, and you were syllable by syllable on beat with your shit. And I was like, yo, that's technical skill right there. Like, that's points. And you're still coming at him hard. Like, you're not falling back as far as words or trying to stumble like what you're gonna say. When he comes back, it reminded me of one of those like joke books you would buy back in the day that just had a bunch of jokes that you could kind of learn. And I feel like his second round was him just kind of pulling out these like cliche skinny guy jokes,
where he might have recycled one of those from the past.
Exactly, where he might have recycled it, or it was, because I've been hearing about in the battle scene, there are these kind of joke books out there that are just Bibles of punchlines, and so
I didn't know those existed.
Yeah, so when I was watching it, even back then as a teenager, I was like, Zach got him, because his second round is just, it's kind of cliche. It's just kind of, here's these snap jokes, but it's nothing coming at you. To whereas, the next round with Franco, Franco kind of just unleashed.
Man, I have a...
You almost beat Franco, though, in my opinion.
Dig. First, the way you broke down that battle.
Yeah.
You know, because I was only in it for the minute that it happened.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And just how you broke down that he might have been pulled up. If the rumor is true that he pulled a recycled punchline, and that's why the judges gave it to me. I would in the moment though, like if his mind just like skinny dude boom, and he pulled and he had a fly one, and he was like, I'm gonna drop it, and you know that is within the rules of entertainment. The only way it's not gonna be within the rules is if you get caught by some happen chance that one of the dudes who's judging heard it before.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Right.
So I wouldn't down him for doing it, because I would do it in the same instant and just risk it. And that's if I could see, I'm imagining, I'm adding imagination to it, but I'm seeing like one of the judges being like, hey, wait, like everybody else is like, we're giving it to him. And he's like, wait.
Right.
I heard that recycle, and they debate that. Does that subtract point from him? Like I should have been subtracted a point from the line I used on Vesh.
Right.
Like if one of the judges, I believe, if one of the judges would have been like, that line wasn't real, and then they were like, well, you subtract that line, does Vesh get it over Zach? Man, I'm a man up on something. I'm gonna try to throw something that sounds emotional and honest.
Yeah, man.
So I'm back there because they don't tell you who you're gonna verse. They don't tell you if you won. Once the battle's over, you step off stage, and then if they call your name again, you won, and if they don't, they don't.
Okay.
And here, man, can I paint it? Is
yes,
it cool if
please do.
I'm gonna jump back to when I beat Vesh to get into the prelims.
Dope.
So I had like 3 weeks or a month, and I called Kevin Beecham the next day, and I was like, "Hey man, like I don't know much about that Scribble Jam scene. Like, what do I do?" And he actually gave me some pointers, which peace to him. He as the battle rap judge he was.
Yeah. He
had seen me battle enough, because he had seen me win the Lauren Pasta Bar battle when he was the host that night. So like he gave me, I feel like I'll say Kevin gave me a couple of clues. He gave me a couple of clues on what I had to study within myself. So bro, I took some time. I stood in my room and I battled my mirror a few times, but man, I'm gonna be honest. I remember like direct nights that I was out like hanging out with some girls at a bar on a Wednesday and thinking, man, I could just go home and maybe practice for Scribble Jam.
Yeah.
And be like, not like in my mind it's like, oh, there's only so much you practice for a battle rap before it's like totally fake. You know, because you start doing like total fake punchlines that you completely written verses or some shit.
And the crowd can definitely pick up on that.
Yeah. And I think looking back though, I was wrong. If I really wanted to go into Scribble Jam and do well and play on that level, I should have been like, if I had 3 weeks, like 2 practices a day. I don't know. Maybe that's overdoing it. Maybe that's over obsessing with it. But I definitely, the one night I'm thinking about, I should have left the bar and gone back to the crib and practiced and I should have walked home and freestyled all the way home.
Yeah,
you know? And so I'm back, and when the judges are debating, I understand. I felt all the energy on stage. I'm like, I know what happened. They're debating because the crowd gave it to him, and I won that one. And I knew I was down to the final 8, and I knew by all those styles that those kids like Immaculate and Franco were kicking out the West Coast, Portland, and the way they were hitting the syllables all over, and then they would set it up. They'd be like triple syllable, and then
Immaculate killed Swan in like the first. I was like, holy shit, who is this kid?
And I battled Swan before, and I beat him, and it was a hard battle.
Damn, and so that sounds like another story.
It's in the book.
Okay, dope.
but he okay. So Immaculate, I'll give is the best example. I'm on the side of the stage and I'm like, that's a more advanced style. Then I can't rap that advanced. And so I'm backstage and I know I'm in the final 8. What I realized back there is they're going to call my name, and every rapper left, the other 7 are more advanced battle rappers than I am. And I was like, and it was like a flash of like me thinking I should have practiced more and like worked on instead of just the basic 1-2 punchlines, like doing like them kids from Portland where they were like putting all these words and hitting the punchlines in different places and putting the punchlines perfectly after triple syllables, and I don't even know if I'm using the right English words to say what they were doing. And I was like,
they had style.
They had styles.
Yeah.
Fam, I'm gonna be hella honest. I was scared. Fam, I have had guns pulled on me. I've had people threaten my life before. I've had a lot of complex situations. And there was part of me that was more scared in the back, knowing that they're gonna call my name and I'm gonna get sliced. And man, I feel like that is like it was a flaw in my manhood a little bit. Man, I don't want to put a gender on it. Like my
in your pride or in your
courage.
Sure. Okay. Yep.
Because I don't feel like I went out and gave kind of a half-assed attempt on that. Was his name Franco? Franco. And I remember, I don't know, maybe he touched me or he said something funny and it made me laugh, and I laughed at him making a punchline on me or something. I don't remember, but I just kind of remember I threw in the towel, and there was something right there that comes from a part of me that I had to evolve from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, watching that for the first time, I remember just being super excited because I was like, oh, shit, Zach is in this battle. And you were progressing and progressing and progressing. I'm like, he has a shot at winning this thing. And then when it was you versus, like, Iron Solomon, I was like, holy shit, like, Zach won that one? I was like, yo, it's fucking on, right? And so when the Franco one starts, you know, Franco's doing his thing. You had a very solid first round, but you could tell after he got you with the fucking hockey puck line, like he just started spazzing out. Yeah. And it worked, and the crowd was going crazy for him. And you could tell on like your second bar, you're just like, I don't really want to fucking do this no more, man.
Maybe I felt like I saw in those kids that they had a more advanced. They were from Oregon, correct?
Franco was from Cali. Immaculate's from the West Coast. I can't be specific.
Maybe I'm admitting that in that moment, when Idea won Scribble Jam, for that moment, maybe Minnesota had the best battle rapper in the world. Maybe our styles made a statement. But in 2004, when I went, if I was the best battle rapper in Minnesota at that moment, which I probably could give you a resume and claim that, we weren't as dope as those kids on the West Coast.
Yeah, man.
They and I was intimidated by their style. They were evolving, battle rapping, and we were like maybe just one grade behind.
Sure. Yeah, man.
Hope that's not self-deprecating.
No, not at all. I think it's super cool to look back. It's like someone who plays ball just looking at a highlight reel or whatever of their career, you know, and analyzing what you're doing now versus then, and it's really cool.
Man, when you make the analogy to basketball, I did later in life think, I wonder if that fear that I felt in that moment was the dudes who you know, they play high school ball. They're great. They get a scholarship to a college. They get drafted into the NBA, and then a game, maybe a playoff game, gets real, and they choke in the fourth quarter, or they choke in the third quarter,
right?
Because the pressure went up, and they didn't rise to it.
Yeah. You know, this is going to go long, but I'm happy because I want to get as much content from you as possible. So you'll have to cut me off, too, if you're starting to realize time is slipping away from us. But you mentioned the pasta bar. For kids who are of a younger generation, they didn't even get to experience any of the legends from the pasta bar, but, like, I always try to explain it to people as, like, take your favorite fighting game and you have all of the characters and, like, the bosses unlocked, and you can just have dream matchups between people. That's what the pasta bar was. What are some of your favorite memories from the pasta bar days?
Meta versus Vesh the first time.
Okay.
That went into overtime, and I gave it to Vesh. Though that was a good one. We didn't know who Meta was yet, and he showed us who he was.
Yeah.
It was like in the second round. That one was great. The best battle that I ever faced in myself was Vesh.
Okay.
I got him with a tactic because I went first. Though if he would have gone first, it might have been a different outcome.
Okay.
If I can paint legends of the pasta bar, Sean Ski from the east side. Sean Ski was directly, it was off the head, it was sliced through. It didn't even always need punchlines. It was just better than his opponent.
Sure.
All the time. Like he must have got to the Final Four 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Every month.
Yeah, yeah.
And Fat D.
Okay.
He was a heavyset cat, probably about 30, and he would come, and he had the punchlines. He studied. He came back. He lost. He did better. So he was studying the maze, and he was a well-sized dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like Vesh one time was like, they're in the finals against each other, and he was like, "Oh, it's my girlfriend, hide me," and he hid behind him. And then he said, "Oh, I'm Indiana Jones running from the boulder," he acted like he was running away from Fat D, and because Vesh had that comical style that was animated like Jim Carrey or something.
Right.
But Fat D broke it down. He was like, "It's just the fat jokes." He's like, "The fat jokes are getting me, but otherwise," and he's like, "I can win this." And I look back at the human, what humans just do, how we see something, and you got to battle somebody, you've never met them before, and you got 30 seconds to look at them, and boom, boom. It's almost immature.
Yeah.
How much he lost to the fat jokes, though that was just the element that he had to battle with. And he eventually won the pasta bar. And he told me, I just did it to prove it could be done.
That's dope.
And it was dope. Yeah.
That's super dope. How about so you also, I know I'm going all over the place now with the timeline and everything like that, but you also were responsible for a show called Headspin, right?
Headspin Sundays. Yes, all broke down in the book, 98, 99.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So is there a story that might not be in the book that you could share? Or should we just save that for the book too?
We can jump into the future, into the now.
Okay. All right. Well, if we're gonna do that, then we're gonna go to the second commercial. Wait, one last thing. Mm-hmm. You had a battle at the Dinky Towner with Prof once, right?
Yep.
Is this in the book as
in the
well?
book.
It's in the book. All right. So we're gonna go to the second commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about this book, what you're up to, and then I play a fun little game called the Lightning Gauntlet, where there's 3 random questions. I have no idea what they are. So we'll have some fun. This is Organized Grind the Podcast with Oracle Uno, kicking it with new MC Zachariah. We will be right back. Hey, what's up, world? This is Oracle Uno checking in to let you know that I just released a brand new EP entitled Speech Therapy. It's entirely self-produced, and you can now get it at oracleuno.com. That's ORIKALUNO.com. Thank you for listening. It's all unraveling, I feel it in my abdomen. About to take a swim in a bottle from the cabinet. Full throttle, hollowing the content of the glass I sip. Too much pain, yeah, the shit ain't even masking it. Okay, got a few loose things I need to tighten up. Do it in the dark before the sky tries to brighten up. Maneuver in the shadows, that's all I'm really used to. Most people always try to find a way to use it. Feeling for a drive, I'm in need to feel alive. 95 miles per hour on a 94 ride. Pissing off passerbyers that are forced to coincide with me. Middle finger up to the punk on the side of me. Rough around the edges, disrespecting the guest list. Use all my drink tickets and forget the set list. I've seen it all before, and you ain't impressive. I ain't shit either, yeah, I've learned that lesson. Had it go in the wind. Got my windows open, I ain't holding it in. I try to take it slow, but the motion's intense. It happened too fast, can't get over the bends. Let it go, let it go, let it go in the wind. Got my windows open, I ain't holding it in. I try to take it slow, but the motion's intense. It happened too fast, can't get over the bends. Let it go, let it vision hazy. I know I'm living crazy. Yeah. Yes, y'all. This is Organized Grind, the podcast with Oracle Uno, episode number 24 with Zach, new MC, Kanser, More Than Lights, Interlock, whole lot of fly shit. So, I mean, there's so much going on. You have so much history. There's so much that we can touch on. But why don't we go ahead? We'll jump into what you're up to nowadays. It looks like you brought over a new edition of your book, Headspin, Headshots in History, Moving Through Minnesota Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. What made you want to originally sit down and write a book? Because the first one came out in what, like 2011 or something like that?
Yeah, correct. I want to say it felt like that was my mission. I don't know if someone gave me that mission or I imagined it and started moving on it on my own, but it kind of felt like a piece of my purpose.
Sure. On
the planet to document as much history as I know I could. Very much history as I knew, good enough as I could tell it.
Sure. So like the way that this podcast started, I had this idea for years of doing a podcast that showcased the local scene, and it always came from just the fact that I'm friends with a lot of people that I feel like your average hip hop fan would like to talk to, would like to listen to, and it was years of me being like, I want to do this podcast. I really want to do this podcast. I'm watching podcasts from other people, and I'm just like, I really want to do one. It took me 2 years before I actually sat down in my studio and hit record to actually make one. Was that kind of the same process for you as far as the book? Like, was this an idea that you had for a long time, or did one day you were like, hey, I'm going to just start to chronicle what I've done here?
Yes, I did have the idea for a long time, though maybe the only action taken was like, a few pages written in a notebook.
Okay.
Though in 2006, I started, without much knowledge of computers, I didn't know like how to use a Word document. I would start to write the stories and email them to myself.
Okay.
And then I was hanging out with a girlfriend, and she was I had left the email up, and she was reading, and she was laughing at the stories, and then that echoed to this really tripped out moment at the Dinky Towner, where I had a birthday party release show for my first solo album downtown at Foundation, and we were having an after party at the Dinky Towner, and I walked in, and I won't put a name on him, but one of the long doe dudes was like, hey Zach, you want some shrooms for your birthday? And I'm not sure, I just kind of took it on just an impulse, right? But shrooms are not always a club drug.
Right.
They're a nature drug.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure why I made the decision to take them, but next thing I was doing, I was out on stage talking about like some hip hop superhero psychedelic science fiction stuff, and I said a few things that resonated with this one kid, Jellyfish, who produced Throws That House.
Okay.
He came to my house later that week, asked if he could take me out to Chipotle, and then he said that something I said on stage touched him from his perception of hip hop, vibrated with him, and that he asked me a couple stories, and I said I was like kind of writing a book about it, and then he took all the emails, my bad. By that time, I had it on a Word document.
Okay.
Like, the girlfriend showed me the girlfriend actually gave me a laptop. And,
nice. That's the
should
plug.
credit her. Shout out her. Yeah, shout out her. So I gave the Word document to Josh, Jellyfish Josh, and he starts to edit it, but my English was hella not even there. You know what I'm saying? So we put out that first edition in 2011, which right now I kind of feel like is the first draft.
Sure, yeah, man.
And then I studied English, or I studied writing, or however you define that art form.
Yeah.
For the last, decade.
Okay.
7 years. Studied it for about 7 years till I was able to do the book correctly.
Okay. I mean, so obviously a book is a separate lane from releasing an album or CD or anything you want to call it nowadays. but a musical body of work. It's a different lane from that. What kind of challenges, setbacks, and kind of surprises did you run into actually making the book?
I guess I surprised myself with the basic information that the English I needed to know to write the book correctly was given to me at Seward Elementary and Sanford Junior High and South High, and I chose not to pay attention.
Sure.
So the 7 years or 10 plus, if you go back to when I started sending the original emails or whatever, that time that it took me to master my own craft of English, my own craft of writing, maybe I should say, I could have got that a lot earlier.
Sure.
And so that was a surprise, and just that something came back to get me. It was a lesson that I could have got this when I learned how to read. Right after I learned how to read. Going through that edition and the books I wrote to get to that edition, you can become so recluse that it changes you a little bit. Spending so much time by yourself.
Sure.
You got to stay social, but stay focused, because you gotta make time, create time to write. Though, make sure you don't forget to create a little time here and there to go be social and be around good people and good vibrations. Going through that book, man, I realized I had to process a lot of old feelings and old memories, and I had to go through, I think, a challenge of the higher levels of caring what other people think of you.
Sure.
Your perception.
Yeah, and a lot of it is stories, and you mentioned a lot of people. Did you reach out to people for permission for stories, or is it like half that, half just going out the whim?
And anyone that I thought I should check, I checked. And also, I contacted a lot of people for fact checks and what they remembered and how they, what color did they remember that being.
Yeah.
And then flowing through and making it as honest as possible, but being discreet as possible too.
Sure.
Oh, actually, not always being discreet. Sometimes splashing in some real silly stories.
Yeah.
That put us all out there.
Right. And so when the first one hit, and even when this new one came out, did you get any sort of wild feedback from people that are in the book? Like, yo, Zach, like, that might be, like, too much, or...
Maybe here and there. Maybe the first draft was to feel it out and to learn from the feedback from the first book on how to write it correctly in the second.
Okay.
As correctly as I could. Any way I look at it, I can call myself a history keeper, or I can say that I'm just out here on some psychedelic science fiction writing. Though to finish that book correctly, have to admit within yourself and what you're doing, there's a touch of gossip in it, because maybe every night that happened once upon a time out here doesn't need to be recorded 20 years later.
Sure.
Though I was just keeping it real and keeping it entertaining.
Yeah, man.
And doing my best not to put anyone under the bus.
So, yep.
Oh, just explain their effects on me and their effects on the moment in the story.
Okay. So would you say this is a complete history of your history here, or is there another book to be written?
That is my complete history of moving through Minnesota hip-hop.
Okay.
Luckily, my life has had a couple other lanes, though it's mostly rotated around that journey.
Sure.
I'm going to continue to write that right there. The history book on Minnesota hip hop is book 0 in a series.
Okay.
Called It's in the Water. The second book in It's in the Water was a book that I had to try to learn some English on and learn how to write a story. It's called When Bees Enslave Ants.
Okay.
And then there's a second book called Hula Hoops and Vampires. Third book in the series technically, but book 2. And I have 2 more coming up. I have a book called 81 Straight Strikes, which connects to the story. And then I'm going to do however Game of Thrones ends, I'm gonna do a remix to the ending. I'm gonna call it Game of Thrones Phoenix.
Okay.
It'd be like an alternative ending written from my.
That's dope.
And inside this book, there's a splash of hip hop, superhero, psychedelic science fiction, a couple of like glitches of the fictional superhero type characters or superpowered characters from the book series.
Okay.
And there's also in there the middle section is a battle. It's trying to battle a group of local MCs in book form.
Okay. Dope. And then outside of the books, I haven't checked this out yet, but I've been hearing rumors that you have something on Spotify. It's like an audio experience.
That is connected with the book.
Okay.
I record my very complicated journey and interactions with the guys from Rhymesayers Entertainment, and there's some ugly history there, and it sucks, and it's emotional. I was a young dude going through it for a long time.
Yeah, man.
When they were kind of the powers that be, and so moving around there, politics was difficult sometimes. So I documented and some kind of drastic events that took place here and there, and some bad rumors that were spun here and there. I'm just trying to spin it in the most mature way I can, and kind of admit that like I feel some type of way about it.
Sure.
And then just come into the higher understanding of hip hop and moving through the hip hop elements, that it's a gladiator culture, it's a gladiator art form, and realizing, I got to battle these dudes. And though I had to wait till I was in my 40s, 41 to battle, because of the powers that be, it wouldn't have been a good move.
Sure.
Or maybe I wasn't skilled enough to always do it, depending on the perspective. So I'm trying to put them cats. Okay, man, cat.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. The Twin Cities, Minnesota hip hop scene is so beautiful and so rich with so much history that I could come up with a 560-some page book about it.
Yeah.
But in the whole history of it, I don't remember anyone ever having a dope battle on record. The only hit that I can remember that mattered or made a ripple in my reality was when the Abstract Pack left Headshots, and in 1998 they released an album, and there was more than a few verses that were directly aimed at Atmosphere and Beyond and Headshots, and they were called out by name. It wasn't like subliminal.
Right.
And at that point in 1998, if the way I remember it, the biggest groups were the Headshot groups. You had Atmosphere, Musab, Los Nativos, Full Circle, and the Abstract Pack. And so when the Abstract Pack dissed them, it didn't go unheard. But the Rhymesayer guys chose to not respond because they were just starting to bubble in some business popularity ways. And I understand their move, because it wouldn't have been worth it to turn around and battle back and give shine to the Abstract Pack.
Right.
Though it's bugged, because though they made the correct business move, as a fan, they kind of robbed us of the moment. Right. That is just my perception. I don't know if the Abstract Pack guys would tell it the same. And then it was like the Abstract Pack challenged them to a battle to see who could get up on the map first. And when Rhymesayers ignored them and started getting up on the map, I felt the pack felt defeated. And it was, to me, to my perception, the pack were not defeated in the hip hop elements. They were not defeated in the art form they thought they were battling in. Sure. That is just my opinion. Sure. Now, that's 98. It's 2019. Yeah. And there's never been, Oracle Uno, you seem like a historian yourself. Can you remember a battle that hit in Minnesota hip hop history? That, not like a freestyle battle, not a battle in a cypher or a tournament. Right. But a battle over recorded.
Right. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything on wax.
Okay.
Of anything going back and forth on wax. I mean, there might have been some like Illuminous 3 stuff back in maybe 2001, 2, or 3. I feel like I might have heard like a Franz D versus dude from the Blend.
Oh, yeah.
I think they had a back and forth.
Tucson.
I think they had a back and forth track battle where they had a couple tracks going back and forth. But that's all I can really remember, and that was like 2003 or 4.
So, I just come to the conclusion in that book that not only is it time for me to release these emotions in the book and these stories of these dudes who made me feel hella weird for hella years.
Yeah.
But it's time for there to be a battle. This is my perception.
Mm-hmm.
When the pack took the shot and they rhyme sayers beat them by ignoring them.
Yep.
I'm repeating myself. I have to make it in a space where if they ignore it, it's still all good.
Mm-hmm.
I also have to make, they have become so big in their journey that most battle raps are like a rapper taking another rapper out because they're going for the fame. They're going for the top spot. They're battling to be the king of New York. They're battling to be the king of hip hop.
Yeah, yeah.
And anytime, you know, over the last 20 years, there's been some other rappers that have taken shots at the crown that the rhyme sayer guys were having, but it was like, oh yeah, you got maybe a punchline in there, or whatever, but like, look at the score.
Right.
And I feel like everybody who was watching was like, it don't matter, look at the score. So what I am doing with Headspin and Headshots in History and the audio insert to it is I'm putting myself on a playing board where the score doesn't matter.
Okay.
And if they ignore me, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it's personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do it. Hopefully I did it. Anyone who has heard it, I hope I did it as mature as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I did it without threatening anyone's physical. I did it without putting a physical threat out to anyone.
Sure.
I did it without any gay jokes or any of your mama jokes or busting on anybody's appearance, except for I recreate a battle where I would pretend I'm like, when was the best time I could have battled Brother Ali? And in February 2003, we were both entered in what I think was the biggest hip-hop battle tournament that ever took place in Minnesota history.
Okay.
At least for that era. I don't know if they're battling bigger than that at like Soundset now, because I haven't been.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So I kind of imagine like, okay, I went in the studio and I got in a good place. I was like 2003, 2003. Okay, doom, 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 and I knew the bracket. You know what I'm saying? Because I remembered it that closely because I went home and I studied I was studying the way it was going to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I would have had to battle Ali in the third round. Okay. What would I have said to him? In real life, he got beat by BDF. And I had to get myself, I had to think about that night that I'm in the crowd and I'm thinking, how's the bracket, like who won before me? Because, you know, it's divisible by 32. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking if he would have beat BDF and I'm seeing it and I'm thinking he beat they announced him as the winner over BDF, I knew, I would have had to get him in the finals. I had to kind of explain that to myself. I had to kind of remember because I was in the crowd probably thinking, do I got to battle him in the fourth round or do I got to battle him in the finals? And so it ended up, it would have been the finals. And so I get myself and and I recorded it. I got it, freestyle, one take in the studio. You can hear it on the battle.
Okay.
What I would have said, and I made some immature jokes.
Sure.
Clowning on his appearance. And I say something that felt kind of serious. I made a very crude joke on him being Muslim. So I came out and I listened and I thought I did it great. You know what I'm saying? I thought I did great. I made this, I'm making a joke like DJ Francisco would have thrown a shoe at me because there would have been Muslims in the crowd. And I'm listening back to the take and I'm like, man, Francisco just kind of came to my head.
Yeah.
Because he's from, he's Muslim.
Yep.
And Francisco's, boy, he's wild.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not too far out the possibilities that Francisco would have really thrown something at me if I would have made a joke that hard. And then I'm like, Francisco was perfect, though. Because earlier in the book, I have an interview with DJ Francisco. And it's from a long time ago, actually. But luckily, I asked him questions about his Islamic faith. So if you read the book Into the Battle, you're going to know who Francisco is, and that like their faith is somewhat represented in its connection to hip hop.
For sure.
But I am sitting in the studio being like, it's 2019 in the politically correct world of sound bites. Should I delete this?
Right.
And I was like, man, wait up. In the finals in 2003, to win this battle tournament, that I felt the winner of this battle tournament what had claim to who was the best battle rapper in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And to beat Brother Ali as a rhymesayer artist in that finals in front of 600 people.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, I would have said that shit. Fuck yeah. And then I went into myself and really thought like, shit, we used to kind of clown on white boys that were turning Muslim. We thought they were just going through like, you're fucking like going through a phase. Like, what are you fucking on? But then I had to kind of assess the moment. Like, we might have been wrong. In the moment, it felt like fun talking shit. Teenagers, like cats are doing different things.
It's a different time. Y'all are young.
Yeah. But Ali and maybe several men who kind of found Islam around the same time through hip hop or through the Malcolm X movie or however that school of thought found them, or that belief system found them, or that communication with God. I'm probably can't put enough words around it.
Right.
It found them, and that's their faith. And so I'm sitting there and I'm going back in my mind to the Lorian Pasta Bar battle, and I'm thinking, if I would have said that to him there that night to win that battle, wait, would that have even been the fucking meanest thing someone said to someone at the pasta bar?
Right. Especially back then.
Dude, then I remembered Medium Zach of Big Quarters.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really pray as this story's come out of my mouth that he doesn't, if he hears this, I'm gonna call him actually tomorrow as soon as we leave and tell him I dropped this story.
Okay.
That he doesn't feel like I would be putting him on blast, because he's done a lot of work with youth and
shout out Zach, man. He's a great guy,
man. But when he was like 19, he's trying to master the MC battle board too. One of the hardest lines I remember is a dude came up. He had a big chain of like a Jesus piece. He had one of those big flashy ones, right? And I can't remember Medium Zach's exact line, so I'm gonna kind of ad lib and say it how I think he should have said it or would have said it.
I'm excited to hear this.
He said with that big bling necklace of Jesus, you got that necklace from the priest who raped you.
Damn.
Boom, right? Like, whoo, and like the explosion. I remember that being like one of the hottest bars that hit. Okay, now dig this.
Damn.
Dig this. But like, me making that rude joke on Ali, disrespecting his religion. Like, how many people in the pasta bar were of the Catholic faith? And how many people possibly had been fucking molested by someone that were in that room?
Yeah.
But when Zach said this shit, he didn't mean to offend them. You know what I'm saying? He didn't mean to say anything malicious about Catholicism. I mean, I don't know. We'd have to bring Zach on here.
Right.
And it's not. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm busting or putting out something that's not politically correct that came out of Medium Zach's mouth in a battle rap 15 years ago, to put it in the right context.
Right.
But like, what about the hundreds of, if you were to criticize him, what about the hundreds of Minnesotans who screamed and cheered when Zach said that to him? So I'm like, I'm bringing that all into the studio. I'm like, I'm putting it. Yeah, I'm keeping this battle. We want to keep it like one take, right? So I'm like, okay, next. Okay, battle, stop the battle. We're in an audio book, you know? And then I'm like, I'm explaining as genuine as I can, but kind of coming as clear down the middle as I can with as short as main words as I can. I'm not articulating myself right, but I think I articulated. I'm not articulating myself right now.
Sure.
Though I think I articulated myself correctly on the back of that battle. I'm like, man, anyone with their faith in Islam, and I apologize if I pushed that punchline too far.
Yeah.
And then just, man, I respect everyone's communication with a higher power. And so respectfully, I respect everyone's religions, and if they respect me, we can stay balanced with that. And then let's take this into my books, because in my It's in the Water book series, I'm mixing up. There's a religious trip. There's like these superheroes who have this like I call them superheroes, but you know, people with powers.
Yeah.
Who make it their mission, like, we gotta upgrade religion, and they go and they study different religions, and they have their followers study religions. They're trying to get all the right keys that seem like they apply to the modern world, with internets and cell phones and Facebook pages and Instagram followers and all that.
Sure.
How you can have a written scripture that comes from the higher power in the modern moment.
Yeah.
And one of the characters, Alex, I wouldn't call him Muslim, but he gets the deepest into Islam.
Okay.
And he even goes over to Mecca to see the Kaaba cube.
Oh wow.
In the books.
Right.
And I'm like, man, let's take it there. So in the audiobook battle that's connected into the book, I'm battling most of the other rhyme-sayer artists that were on my top battle list in the top 10. I'm over-explaining it. In the first draft, the first edition of the book, there's like who I thought the top 25 Minnesota rappers were.
Okay.
And so it just kind of funnels into a fictional story of like a fictional version of me battling all the rhyme-sayers that were in the top 10. Now, to make Stop House happy, because they, like the guys from Stop House were hella salty when Prof wasn't in the top 25 rappers.
Okay.
So I put him at number 9. So I was hanging with him in January.
Yeah.
Him and Dylan came to speak to me about everything.
And that's funny.
We I decided I'd give him a rematch. But it goes through the battle, and it gets a little out there fictional. You got to use your imagination. And then we try to funnel it into Game of Thrones, just hitting some pop culture. It's like now I don't know if I'm battling idea or I'm battling George R.R. Martin that wrote Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Or I'm just complimenting both of them, and then it flows back into the book.
Okay.
And you can continue reading from there.
Tight, man. And then, so we've covered books, we've covered the audio experience. As far as music, are you working on any new music?
Kanser just released a song called Cyber Aquarium that I'm pretty proud of. It's a 2019 version of Kanser produced by Mike The Martyr.
Dope.
And I dig it. I dig how it feels.
Okay, dope. Well, you definitely brought that with for us to play, so we'll get into that when we're done here. And then when we're done with the Lightning Gauntlet, I'll let you throw the links out and plug whatever you need to plug.
Cool.
But let's go ahead. We'll run through this Lightning Gauntlet here with Big Zach. So what the Lightning Gauntlet is it's 3 random questions from this question pack. I'm not sure what they're going to be. So let me pull out just a stack of these. And I've also been thinking, for whoever is listening, if you want to submit your own Lightning Gauntlet questions for me to ask people, that might be pretty fly. So you can send that to organizedgrindpodcast@gmail.com if you have questions you would like to be included in the Lightning Gauntlet.
All right. But, you just want me to throw out the first thing that plops in my head?
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
So question number 1 for Zach. If you could purchase anything intangible besides health or happiness, what would you buy?
To process that question, you mean if I was given a sum of money or a grant of money to use, but I couldn't buy a physical object?
An item, right.
I would fund. I would like to. Me and some friends. We want to bring my books, the It's in the Water book series, into audio books.
Okay.
But we don't want to just have one person reading them. We want the dialogue of the characters and the thoughts of the characters to be like performed.
Okay.
And And even though that sounds like a fresh idea that we're going to do, we would need money to do that. So that's what I would buy.
Dope. All right. Question number 2. If you could participate in any historical reenactment, what would it be and what role would you play in it?
Okay, I wanna jump back to your last question. Like I'm redoing the perfect words where I said that's what I would buy.
Sure.
But from the size of your question or the sound of your question, I mean, it sounded more like what would I bring to life?
Right. Yep. So something intangible besides health or happiness
that you would need money to bring to life.
What would you buy?
Yep, I would fund the audiobook project. Okay. Hit the next question.
Second question: if you could participate in any historical reenactment, what would it be, and what role would you play in it?
Oh. You know, I go check out Jesus walking on water.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so you'd just be like a guy on the beach that's seeing that?
You know, I thought, you ever think if time travel ever gets achieved,
Yeah.
that a large amount of people, if they have access to it, they would want to go back to see him crucified or when he walked on water. Given the possibility he existed, I'm not trying to take a religious stance on it.
Yeah.
But, you know, we feel like there's, or I didn't mean to say we and look at in your eyes when I said that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's all good.
I mean, you know, it feels like there's something to that story. And so sometimes I imagine like with time travel that there would be like thousands of people around.
Right.
When either of those events happened.
I also feel like, if time travel was a thing and it was easily accessible, like, I feel like there would be a whole new war that kind of happened, because you'd have the people that would want to protect Jesus, and you'd have the people on the other side coming from the future.
Yeah.
That's some wild shit.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
All right, man. Here's question number 3, last question of the Lightning Gauntlet. What is one thing that for years you've been saying that you should do, but you haven't done yet?
Maybe I explained myself in the audiobook battle.
Okay.
It was time to finish. It was time to write that book correctly, and it was time to battle those cats, or just let them know that through everything, you know, through all the different politics and the different very negative things that happen.
Yeah.
That on a hip hop level, I was never scared to battle anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Dope. Well, yo, let's start plugging, man. It's been great to have you on the podcast. You are active in a lot of separate lanes. So first and foremost, Headspin, Headshots in History, Moving Through Minnesota Hip Hop, the book. Where can people purchase this?
They can, if you're in town in Minneapolis, they got it at No Name Records down on Nicollet and like 60th.
Okay.
You can also grab it at the Electric Fetus. Otherwise, you can order it from my website, zachcombs.net, ZACHCOMBS.net. Oracle, you and me are just getting to know each other right now in this podcast, and it was beautiful, and I thank you for letting me on. So we didn't really know each other, so there's no stories of us getting into some crazy adventure, because the book is filled with it's painted in with like crazy girl drug stories.
Sure, yeah, man.
Though I found that video that you released, the fly one, where you're disappearing and appearing on the freeway.
Oh yeah.
There was a line from there that felt like it there was a spot in the book for it when if you read it, I'm not. I hope you feel like it flows. If I quoted you correctly. Oh, dope!
So I'm actually in this.
You have a quote.
Oh shit!
Throughout the book, I try to take quotes from all the Minnesota hip hop that has reached me and affected me, and vibrated into my skin and my soul, and use it to tell the story. You know, so it's all told from my perspective.
Yeah,
like, I don't mean to keep talking about the book. I guess if
no,
I'm
it's
slipping
cool,
out,
but the book is out. You know,
like I'm trying to make it. You see it all from my eyes, and but I use other people's lines to tell the story.
Okay.
I hope I worded that right.
Dope. Well, thank you so much. I know in the first version, cats were trying to ask me like, "Hey, why aren't you in this?" And I'm like, "Well, I was in St. Paul, and I'm generations you know, like you're maybe 2 generations up from me as far as people like Musab and everyone like that. Like you're of that generation. I came in young, which kind of, you know, when I was 14, 15, my peers were in their 20s and in the hip hop scene. So I'm kind of at the end of the last generation. So I'm in this weird place where I'm friends and I'm close with older heads, but I'm still young enough for like the Bobby Raps of the world. And you know what I'm saying? And it's just I'm cut from the older school cloth, but my age reflects amongst the younger kids. So that puts me in a weird place as far as experiences. And so I explained to people, I was like, well, Zach was Southside, I'm St. Paul. So, I mean, of course, we're not going to intersect too much. But to be in this one, though, is an honor. So thank you so much for including me. Right
place, right time. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your documentation through these iPod recordings. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like, our journeys were meant to cross right here.
For sure, for sure. So, all right, so you can pick up the book. The audio books or the experience, where can they hear that at?
You got the book. There's a place in the book that will tell you what the. I didn't want to put it out like a single.
Oh,
like,
sure, okay.
I didn't want to put it out like, I'm battling these dudes.
Yeah.
Like, and push it like that. It's an experience. It's the book and the audio battle are a piece of art, and they're meant to be connected together.
Dope.
So I'm not going to put it out there. Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
that's cool. So so pick up the book, and the book will lead you to the audio experience. Tight. And then as far as music goes, where can people find your music?
On all the streaming platforms, you can find my group Kanser, Kanser. Or you can find my group Traditional Methods, or you can find my group More Than Lights and Ocean Owls, and a bunch of done a bunch of stuff. And I appreciate everyone who ever listened and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, man. There's still so much more that I'd like to get into, but maybe I'll have to have you come back and chop it up again, man.
All right, word.
For the second part.
I'll have to live a little more life and do a few more fly things, maybe.
Dope. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, because there's albums and your offshoot groups, and you've just done a lot of very quality things for the scene here, and there's just so much to talk about. And even little things like the sub shop, and just the little stories that kind of make the Minneapolis hip hop story connect. I would love to get into.
Word.
But hey,
dig.
Go ahead.
Why don't I return when you finish the book?
Okay. All right. I will read the book, and then I will get you back in here, and we can talk about the book and
break
everything
it down.
else.
Word.
Dope, man. Do you have final words or shout-outs?
Anyone who plugged into this podcast, to Oracle Uno's podcast, who has never heard of me before, I invite you to come into my book experience, and I invite you to listen to any of the music that I've released, preferably the newer stuff that's a little fresher.
Dope. Well, hey, this has been Organized Grind, the podcast with Oracle Uno, episode 24, with Zach, new MC. Zach brought a track, the new Kanser song called Cyber Aquarium, produced by Mike The Martyr.
Yes.
Would you like to say something about it?
Oh, we have never been, we didn't come out the era that made videos. When we were coming up, having a video was still like a record label fantasy.
Right.
Now, I'm around the younger rappers. They're like, oh, did you see the new edit of my video on my phone that I filmed on my phone yesterday, and I edited it all, and now it's like, now it looks good as like Hype Williams or something.
Right.
And we just have never had too many people come into our orbits that were, the few videos we did, we came up with the idea, and the Throw Your House guy, the Throw the House group, just released a pretty fly piece of art.
That video's dope.
Word. And we would me and Unicus would ask if someone could hear this song and maybe turn it into a video. But we don't know if we want to ask anyone, or we're hoping someone will hear it and come to us. So that's what I'm throwing out there. If anyone's listening this far and you're a videographer, and this song you can see it on a screen. Please hit us up.
Dope. Yeah, man. That sounds dope. So yeah, this has been Organized Grind the Podcast, episode 24. My name is Oracle Uno. This is Cyber Aquarium by Kanser. As always, peace and love.
Organized Grind with Oracle Uno. Recorded live at Graffiti Studios in South Minneapolis.
Mike The Martyr.
Slap, splash, splash, splash. Cool in the moonlight, flash, back. Memories are slipping out of reach. A lifetime of summers, lost at hidden beach. She was skinny dipping in the dark. I could see her silhouette from afar. As starlight reflected around her on the surface, giving every wave in the water purpose. When she came close, I was nervous. Every curve of her was dripping. I was sitting in the sand, staring at the water. She said that I should be an author. Someday, somehow a sun ray penetrated the night sky. My pen dipped in her light iris, complex colors rippled. An orgasm is a window. The ones lit from skyscrapers can see us. As energy transmits through pyramid tips in Egypt, my fingertips felt her meaning until it was meaningless. This was back in the day when I was a teenager, way before I had ever slept with a stranger. You could find a new kid vibing on a tribe called Quest Halo below a bright light bulb. As the universe showed me all things move in cycles. Galaxies spiraling down to the microbes. So I can show you what I've learned in the light shows, the ones I can still see with my eyes closed. We look up at constellations from continents and contemplate consciousness.
Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling.
I think the female human has superpowers, keeping her sons cool like April showers, giving birth to stars. Her DNA's truly not like ours. 24 in a day. Once upon a time I lived for the nocturnal. You know what they say, the freaks come out at night. Couple of shots, things out, they wanna bite. I've been a victim / participant. Michelangelo, dip in the paint. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Imagine Ray Charles' vision while chasing dragons. Thoughts on Pluto, cosmic doodle over your head. Well, it's written on walls. Hybro Emporium, third eye vision, lost in space. Mars mission. Lost in space. On the sky, got my eyes on the sky, got my eyes on the sky.
Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. Upside down, staring at your ceiling, mind drifting, lost in the feeling. I was doing something different there. I kind of liked it.